Welcome to the Ask the News discussion platform. This time we have with us a veteran RBI officer, Radhavendra Lal Das. R.L. Das, who had a lifetime professional career with the RBI, joined possibly as a trainee officer, retired as a chief general manager in 2016. Welcome, Mr. Das. I would like to know, you spent almost 3 decades from 1984 to 2016 with the RBI. And you had the opportunity to interact with about 8 RBI governors, starting with Manmohan Singh and ending with Raghuram Rajan. Who is your most favorite officer, governor that you had the opportunity to work with, and why?
Raghuram Rajan, an economist of international repute and study, a born leader who could take the entire organization with him, a magnetic personality. He could impress anybody from top of Reserve Bank to class 4. And he knew how to speak his mind out to government, to public at large, and to the RBI workforce. And he innovated certain things which were long overdue. Some of the ideas are being worked on today, like the concept of bad bank. He tried to clean the balance sheets of public sector banks. And as a result today, all the public sector banks are in profit. So I would say that he was a visionary and he could do whatever he wanted to do during his tenure.
You said that Raghuram Rajan was an academic and intellectual. Well, Manmohan Singh too was an academic and intellectual that you started a career with. How do you see the distinction between Manmohan Singh's approach? Although Manmohan Singh had been part of a bureaucracy for quite some time before he became RBI governor, but he was basically a PhD in economics and had a distinction as an economist as well of repute. So how did you see the distinction in their approaches to the job as RBI governor?
I agree with you. Dr. Manmohan Singh had degrees. He had some kind of claim to be academician, but as a governor, he could never show that aspect of his in his work style. He was more dependent on North Block than the 18th floor of Reserve Bank of India.
Okay. And then how do you see the tenure of such distinguished economists and professionals, C. Rangarajan and Bimal Jalan?
They were there. C. Rangarajan's regime was quite tumultuous. Harshad Mehta scam, the securities scam, that was changing him. He could not protect a person like N.D. Parameswaran, who was one of the most distinguished, knowledgeable central banker. And he was sacrificed by Dr. Rangarajan.
Okay. What about Bimal Jalan?
Bimal Jalan was there. He was more of a lord than governor.
More of a?
Lord, Lord, Lord than
Acha.
governor. And he didn't like to mix with Reserve Bank people. He had people at, you can say, cabal, who was advising him, and he acted on that. So
Achha.
if you tell me to give marks out of 10, I will give him a 2.
2. Okay. So, and how do you then rate YB Reddy and D. Subbarao, 2 professional bureaucrats?
Subbarao was quite independent, fierce, and a leader, but he had to contend with some abusive kind of bureaucrat in banking division, and that put him down. There was one person.
Abusive kind of relationship.
I would say personality.
Okay.
Of that particular person who is known in bureaucratic circle to be abusive. Kotru, I remember the exchange between Subbarao and Mr. Kotru.
But Subbarao was a senior officer compared to Katu.
But you know, so long you were retired, the seniority does not matter in personal relationship.
Okay.
And he was more interested in taking dividend from Reserve Bank of India. And he was told by Subbarao that you should not spend this money like this. So Kotru told him, you mind your business. I know how to spend my own money. He thought that Reserve Bank is some kind of colony for banking division. And that spoiled the whole scenario. So long he was there, relationship was really strained, and he did take measures which affected the workforce of Reserve Bank of India. Even today.
And Reddy's period, was it smooth affair?
Yeah, Reddy.
He was rather down to earth, isn't it?
Particularly 2008 economic crisis. He faced boldly, wisely, and led Reserve Bank to glory.
So you talked about, especially in the context of Subbarao, about the kind of fracas between the RBI and the government, the ministry.
I would say that P. Chidambaram was directly responsible for this fracas.
Okay, Chidambaram was the finance minister then.
Yeah.
So how, in your view, during your tenure, who is the person who defended the autonomy of RBI the most? Is it Raghuram Rajan, or you will also have some other names in that who strenuously defended
Raghuram Rajan, Reddy? These are 2 people who tried to defend the autonomy of the Bank of India.
Okay. You're saying that PSU banks have come to profit thanks to, yes, Raghuram Rajan started that policy of looking into audits, making special audits about the bank situation, which they were hiding for a long time. And he brought in certain policies, so the banks were forced to upfront tell the RBI and tell the world as to how much of NPAs they have. But don't you think that today the banks are better capitalized because the government has infused too much of money, 70,000 crore into the PSU banks? That's how they are better capitalized, not because of their own performance in any way.
If you see the recovery rate and the amount in last 4 or 5 years, you will be amazed that recovery is quite vigorous, taking place, and that has given them the profit. Capital is there, no doubt about it. Government has infused 70,000 crores, which were needed because they had eaten their capital. But with the profit which came through recovery has given them the financial strength, the macho, today they are talking about. Let me share with you one incident. I am witness to that. Vijay Mallya was celebrating the birthday of his son in his own style. And he was the biggest defaulter at that time. Raghuram Rajan quipped in front of me that this can't work. That you have money to squander on birthday, but you don't have money to pay back your debts. So that started the assessment of loan portfolio of various banks. And from there, so many measures were taken up. And everything came on the surface, the actual position of the banks. And then corrective measures were initiated at the instance of Reserve Bank of India.
But don't you think Raghuram Rajan had run in with the Narendra Modi government because he tried to defend the autonomy? He refused to give in to the demand of the RBI transferring huge amount of money to the kitty of the government to tide over the crisis of fiscal deficit. So that was something, a reality. That's the public picture there. What do you think from the inside?
Raghuram Rajan has full support of Arun Jaitley, and they were best of friends. Raghuram Rajan had no occasion to complain about Arun Jaitley. He should have complained against P. Chidambaram, who was finance minister before Arun Jaitley, who was trying to dictate Reserve Bank. Initially, Raghuram Rajan could listen to them, but over time he realized that he has to defend the autonomy of Reserve Bank, and he stood his ground, and he paid the price, no doubt about it.
But if you're saying that he had very good terms with Arun Jaitley and they got along well, why is it that he was eased out? In fact, Raghuram Rajan had publicly made the statement that he wanted to continue for another term to set certain things right, and would have loved to continue there to serve the government, but he was asked to leave.
I know. He was being called by his institution, business school, Booth from Chicago, and he was a tenured professor, mind you, and they were not ready to give him enough time. They wanted a firm date on which he will join, but government refused to give him a firm date. The order says at the pleasure and whatever, so he had to go.
Okay. So it's, don't you think that departure was on a bad blot? At least the parting remarks of Raghuram Rajan gave that impression that He is
I-
being eased
I,
out.
uh,
He's not going.
I was part of that meeting which gave him farewell. And I don't think there was any sour note in his parting lecture to Reserve Bank of India.
Tell me one thing. One of Raghuram Rajan's ideas that you said is fructifying today is that of bad banks. But tell me this bad banks idea that you are transferring your NPA from your account to a bad bank account and saying that I'm clean. I have collected money. I mean, this is a real deceit with the people of India, the taxpayers of India. That you say my accounts are clean, but actually you have transferred that the unclean account to another bank.
Not at all. The concept of bad bank is to take over bad loans and sell them in the market, securitize them, and the proceed is given to the seller bank. Where is the problem?
But the proceeds, you look at the details of the bad bank transactions, actual proceeds that are happening is maybe 20-30% of the actual loan amount. So that's a disaster. That's a sellout of public money to the bankers.
When loan becomes bad and there is no hope of recovery, so whatever comes, whether it is 30% or 50%, it's welcome.
But that then, if it is 30%, by a system of accountability, it should show that you lost 80% money or 70% money. You got back only 70% money. But this State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, all these are showing that, well, we have now a surplus cash reserve and we have our NPA, as you said, has come down drastically. That's in fact, pulling the wolves before the eyes. That's not the reality, isn't it?
Let us disagree there, because for a banker, anything which comes back is welcome. In a situation where people refuse to pay, I can give you hundreds of names which they didn't pay. And they are not there today. I was part of a committee called Tarapur Committee, which looked into the irregularities in UTI. And I have seen how system can be taken for a ride by those who are near power center. Today, everybody is talking about Adani. Adani fleeced UTI to death. Nobody talks about that.
And today, look at LIC's the maximum investment. It is twice the investment of the all mutual funds is in Adani company. What does it say?
Because Adani is a rising star.
Adani there?
Rising star today.
That's right. It's all part of a crony capitalism. A crony capitalism existed in Congress, crony capitalism that exists today. Adani, Ambani, all these have benefited from their proximity to the government.
Crony capitalism has been there since independence.
Yes, it's there. It's there. It's there. In fact, Ramurao, RBI governor, resigned in 1957 because he definitely disagreed with Nehru's policy. Nehru especially demanding money from the RBI, the ad hoc treasury bills. But those treasury bills were fortunately but that is also because of the 1990 crisis that Narasimha Rao government, Manmohan Singh as finance minister, reversed that process. Otherwise, that was something happening. RBI had become just a post office for the government of India. That was there. Now it's. But tell me about RBI's role as a the RBI is supposed to regulate the public sector banks, but doesn't have any control over its management, over the appointments. Unlike in private sector bank, it has enormous role. Doesn't that create a certain kind of conflict in that process? Doesn't it erode the authority of the RBI in a different way?
Actually, RBI had a role in the selection of chief executive of public sector banks for a long time. Then a government found it very inconvenient. And a lawyer turned economist, masquerading as economist, was finance minister. And he wanted greater say in the appointment through banking division. So banking bureau was created. RBI governor was there in the selection process, and it continued. Now today, I think the bureau is still there and they are selecting, but North Block and banking division have greater say.
Yeah, it's almost. How do you look at as a banker, the RBI senior officer? How do you see that demonetization decision that, and with all apparent evidences that even the government took that decision without even keeping the RBI governor abreast of it?
I remember it was 2008, not 2014, 2008. In corridor, people were talking about black money. And like a fool, I blurted in front of then governor that, sir, one night, one stroke, demonetized 2,000 rupee note. And everything will come tumbling out. So off and on, this was going on. Raghuram Rajan was also doing loud thinking, how to combat. But this is not on the paper. It was all informal going on. So demonetization, I would vote for or against. But one thing I will tell you, I was posted at Kanpur, general manager banking. And a friend of mine from college days, he rang me up and said that my father had invested money in Sahara. Okay. And they are not paying back. Can you help? I just told him that you send me the details and how have you paid? And the source of that money, I will do something. He never came back. So we knew that how system is being used by black marketeers, by corrupt people. Now they have fear of God, some fear. They are not doing it blatantly. I'm not saying that they have stopped doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
thank you, Mr. Das. So we are running out of time, but I certainly the viewers would get some insight about the functioning of the RBI from the ringside view that you shared with them. And I'm sure we'll have more opportunity to interact in the days to come. Thank you once again for sparing your time for this discussion.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Pleasure was mine. Thank you.